Welcome. Today's guest is Gina Guillemette, who is the Chief Strategy Officer for Community Action Marin. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you, yeah. Just tell us a little bit about, kind of how you got into this community action work, maybe a little bit about yourself and how you came into being the Chief Strategy Officer now.
Yeah. So my very first job out of school was working for an agency that did Head Start, not a community action. And it was in a role where I worked with families and in the program and also helped them understand and learn together about the public policies that were impacting their lives, and then did advocacy at the state capitol in Illinois. And I did a lot of that advocacy with community action partners who also cared about Head Start and childcare. And so that's how I first learned about community action. And that was a couple decades ago. And then when I moved to California and lived in Marin County, I had always worked in human services and anti-poverty organizations. And so I was kind of looking around the community for what agency did the kind of work I cared about. And I found Community Action Marin. And so a few years ago, that's when I first had the connection and started my role. I've been there almost 3 years. And so that's how I connected. I knew about what community action was about, and it aligned with my values and what I wanted to do, and here I am.
That's so amazing. One of the things we talk a lot about is just that drive to be in community action and how so many stories are very unique, just like yours, but that desire to want to see change and that desire to be a part of that. So first of all, let me say, as a Head Start child, thank you for your time in Head Start and for all you've done getting to this position. So now Community Action Marin is very unique. Tell me a little bit about that your agency. As we know, all of them are a little bit different, so we'd love to hear some of the exciting things you guys are doing.
Yeah, so our agency has been around just a year. We were founded a year after the community action movement started, so we've been around that whole time. Our agency is about 200 staff. We're in a relatively, I think, small county and a very wealthy county. And so the issues of poverty in our community are definitely there, but I think the understanding that we have, just residents of the community and definitely our elected officials and other decision makers, is limited. So that's one of the things that's seemingly unique in our county, is just how we really engage people in the conversation about who in our community is experiencing poverty and what we all can do about it. So our agency, we do Head Start and early childhood services. We have safety net programs, doing outreach in the community for people who are homeless, and providing energy assistance and food and all of that kind of piece. Economic justice is another area where we're really focusing on people's financial skills and the capacities and the connections that they need to really have strong financial lives, the VITA program. And then also doing work around housing justice. So that's a big issue in our community, which is, and throughout the state we know, people just there isn't housing. There's a lot of restrictions on where you can build in Marin County. So housing affordability, but just the actual physical housing.
Yeah, one of the things that we notice is how community action agencies really embrace and take on that local identity. And you talked about the county, being a more wealthy county, and there's always these misconceptions that because we're a wealthy county, everyone is being successful around that. And I heard you mention the word justice twice, and I've always been really proud to represent you guys because how well you communicate and how well you get the message out for the marginalized populations. How did you guys decide that is the avenue, that's the route that Community Action Marin wanted to go in?
I think we just, it goes back to what community action is about, and part of it is that we see that is what is, poverty is being produced by these systems that exist, that we've created. It's not just a random happenstance, it's not something that's inevitable, it's something that we as a society have chosen. And so really trying to focus on who is impacted the most and what are the issues that we know are really at the crux and the foundation of these things. So racial and economic justice is central to what we do. And it's something that's also talked a lot about in our county. There's a lot of public processes and things that are focusing on some version of equity. So it's a concept, at least, that has some resonance in our local community, and really trying to talk about what does that mean? What does that look like when we're providing services? What does that look like when we're advocating for policies? Making sure that we bring that approach to it. So it's been really exciting too to see all the partners that have come on, caring about that issue like we do.
Yeah, and you guys have always really been at the forefront. I mean, you really set an example, not just obviously locally, but for us across the state. And I think you've done a wonderful job. But thinking about that, where do you see the next step? Where would you like for the agency itself to kind of go into the future?
We are really excited about partnering more with our local government and the community at large about focusing on understanding poverty in our community, and based on that understanding, what solutions that we can do together. So one of the things that we talked about not that long ago is just looking for local support of understanding what community action is, but also having local dollars invested in what we're doing. Having community responsive services is central to what we're doing, but we're also building a movement with our community. So power with our community members, those that we serve, standing side by side to really address the issues we care about. So that's in our strategic plan. It's kind of what we're trying to be about. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, one of the cornerstones of community action was that whole idea around maximum feasible participation among the families we serve. Seems like that's a big part of where you guys want to go, want to continue to be. How has that shaped, just you guys over the last 58 years? You guys getting close to 60 as well. How is that, the tripartite board and being involved and having, like you said, multiple funding streams from different, levels of government per se, but also locally as well. Like how does going after those dollars, how does that really factor in with the fact that it's like we're really the voice of people of low income? How do you guys continue to involve families that we serve, to make sure that the services you're offering are what you want to be able to do?
We're going through our community needs assessment right now in our community action planning. So part of it is thinking about how we just from the get-go come up with ideas, do the planning, and assess in what ways that we can plug. So our parent leadership counselors, our policy council, our Head Start leaders, others from doing focus groups for part of that assessment of just really listening to what has worked well, what needs during COVID is another example of like what is actually on the ground, what people are needing. To have that be built into how we do our work and learning as we go, all of us, all the time, really trying to have that mindset and approach. But that is one of the things where in terms of the partnership with the county and other players of something that is unique to community action, unique to what we do, and that there's interest in our agency because of that, because there are a lot of other partners that isn't the way that they operate. And so there's kind of a different value that is unique.
So we talked about your agency. What do you see as valuable, or if you could paint the picture ever how you wanted to for community action in general? You guys are very, very involved, not just locally, but statewide. I know we do a lot of activities together, both across the state and across the nation as well. So if you look at the bigger, broad community action, whether it's CalCapa or nationally, where would you like to see us go to? Where would you like to see community action evolve into?
Yeah, I think that there are ongoing understanding of what poverty looks like in the modern kind of day-to-day, and how to make that concrete for people where it's hard to, in the county where we are, because of the affluence, when we talk about the dollar amounts of people falling below the poverty line or even 200%, it's almost like you hear that and you look around and you're like, that you must have missed a number there. Like it's not possible. So how we can really invite people into understanding what it really looks like to experience poverty so that people can resonate with that and understand it. And from that point of understanding the challenge, we can be better equipped to work together on the solution. So there's a lot of space, I think, that community action, a lot of expertise and perspective that we can bring as a network and beyond, in the country to that, and have really concrete strategies that we know will work based on the expertise at the community level. I think that there's a gap there so that we are naturally in a good place to fill that. But I think it starts with people really understanding the challenge so that they can mobilize all the energy behind the solutions.
Yeah, one of the things I've always empowered me is seeing the way you talked about concrete, practices and you guys' ability to use a performance management system to really look at data and to understand exactly what you're doing so you're efficient and effective. Can you just talk a little bit about y'all's process for that? The dollars are never enough.
Yeah.
Right. So we're always having to squeeze out what we can. So can you tell me a little bit about y'all's process and how you're making sure that what you're doing is being successful?
Yeah, it's ongoing. It's never ending.
Sure.
We have had an internal team in our agency, Pathways to Excellence team, that is the people who like data and care about data from different departments in the agency, so that we break out of our silos, we break out of the data that one funding stream wants and the other one doesn't care about. And it's a balance, I think, of looking at what we need to do, what we need to comply, but what we know are meaningful measures of the work that we do. And part of that is then educating funders and educating others about what that is. But our process has been really to bring that kind of diverse perspective from across our agency, and also think about the ways that, when our data system breaks down, when we don't have this program able to kind of talk behind the scenes to this other program, why did that fail? Why did that fall apart? And then from that understanding of, there's more training that's needed, or the computer system is duplicative for our staff, and so they don't have time. They're meeting with families, which that's what we want them to prioritize. We don't want them to prioritize their computer over their families, but how can we then build a better system that's going to work for what they need, doing that frontline work? And so there's been learning and we're still learning how to do that better. But it's trying to listen, I think, to what's going to make that a meaningful part of the service process that we do, not just an additional thing.
I just want to say thanks to Community Action Marin, Chief Strategy Officer. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate the opportunity. It was wonderful.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.